Israel admits professional failures in the killings of 15 medics in Gaza. 14 emergency workers and a UN employee were killed when this convoy of ambulances and fire trucks came under Israeli military fire. A deputy commander of the unit involved has been dismissed, but Israel claims there was no indiscriminate firing or executions. Also tonight, Pope Francis delights crowds after his recent illness with a surprise Easter blessing. Fury at restaurant chain's destruction of a 500-year-old oak. And victory for Liverpool means relegation for Leicester, but the Premier League title isn't red just yet.
This is ITV News with Romilly Weeks.
Good evening. Israel has tonight for the first time admitted what it calls professional failures in the killings of 15 Palestinian aid workers and has fired a deputy brigade commander responsible. The emergency workers came under attack by the IDF as they attempted to carry out a rescue mission in southern Gaza last month. Their bodies were discovered in a mass grave alongside their crushed emergency vehicles. In the internal IDF investigation, a series of failures and breaches of orders were identified, but Israel continues to claim there was no indiscriminate firing or executions. And a warning: Sam Holder's report contains details and images from the incident.
An operational misunderstanding. That is the Israeli Defense Forces explanation for why more than a dozen Palestinian emergency workers were killed. Israel had initially claimed this convoy in Gaza in March had been travelling with no lights, clearly disproven by video which was later recovered. An IDF internal investigation now says that poor visibility was to blame for the vehicles not being recognised as ambulances. Those on board came under fire for at least 5 minutes. They could be heard praying. 15 minutes after this, a UN vehicle was attacked by the same soldiers. The report blamed this on a breach of orders. In a statement, the IDF said the examination identified several professional failures, breaches of orders, and a failure to fully report the incident. The deputy commander of the Golani Reconnaissance Battalion will be dismissed from his position due to his responsibilities as the field commander in this incident and for providing an incomplete and inaccurate report during the debrief. After the 15 were killed, their bodies were buried. It was a week before rescue teams were able to recover them. They found the emergency vehicles had been crushed. The IDF report accepts this decision by soldiers had been wrong, but provides no further explanation. The report also claims that 6 of those killed were Hamas terrorists. No supporting evidence has been offered. The IDF says it regrets the harm caused to uninvolved civilians, but they still have not approved any kind of external or independent investigation. Sam Holder, ITV News.
Both Ukraine and Russia have accused one another of breaching a 30-hour ceasefire in the war. The Easter truce announced by President Putin last night is due to expire later this evening. The US, which has been pushing for a permanent pause in the fighting, this evening said it would welcome an extension of the ceasefire. Graham Stoddard has the latest.
Outside the ruins of a bombed-out church in northern Ukraine, worshippers marked Easter Sunday, unable to pray inside. They came here from the nearby city of Lukashivka, fearing that Russian forces may target large gatherings, despite Putin's promise of a truce. They have reason to be skeptical. In an Easter message by President Zelensky, he said he hoped for a day of peace, but on X made it clear today is not that day, claiming they'd already seen nearly 50 Russian assaults. Ukrainian police also released these photos from Donetsk in the east. Damage they say was caused by Russian shelling this morning. reports corroborated by the country's lawmakers.
So I reached out to the people I know on the front lines, and they all confirmed hours after the ceasefire was supposed to take place, the Russians were shelling the Ukrainian positions with artillery.
On Russia's front line, soldiers were given Easter gifts and blessings. Meanwhile, in Moscow, President Putin attended an Orthodox Sunday service. The Kremlin has also accused Ukraine of breaking the ceasefire, but provided no evidence. The instability of even this one-day truce, held on one of the most sacred days of the year for both countries' citizens, makes a longer one even harder to imagine. Graham Stothard, ITV News.
Huge crowds cheered an unexpected appearance by the Pope as he wished them a happy Easter from the Vatican balcony before being carried through the faithful on his Pope-mobile, stopping several times to bless babies and small children. The 88-year-old is recovering after being treated for pneumonia in both lungs. He was also well enough today for a brief meeting with the US Vice President J.D. Vance, as Aisha Zahid reports.
Tens of thousands gathered to see the Pope. He's the embodiment of faith for millions of Catholics. And today there was relief as he made his first significant appearance since leaving hospital. Though he missed the morning mass, in the afternoon these crowds watched on as he shared some words from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica.
Cari fratelli e sorelle.
Dear brothers and sisters, happy Easter, he said. The 88-year-old is still recovering after being treated for pneumonia. On his behalf, this blessing was shared.
Così come tutto il popolo israeliano.
I express my closeness to the suffering for all the Israeli people and the Palestinian people. Call a ceasefire, release the hostages, and come to the aid of a starving people that aspires to a future of peace.
After being met with cheers and chants of "Long live the Pope," the pontiff greeted the crowds from the Pope-mobile. Passing through, his procession was paused to bless babies and to hand gifts to children.
We are very happy that we can saw a Pope in a good shape.
I've come from Mexico just to come here, and now that he's already come out, for me it's a miracle. It's something very big, very beautiful.
The day started much earlier as the Pope sat down with US Vice President J.D. Vance, though the meeting was kept brief. Today's been his longest public appearance since falling ill, and the message of peace he shared remains as important as ever as violence and conflicts around the world rage on. Aisha Zahid, ITV News.
Here, the King and Queen attended St George's Chapel in Windsor Castle for an Easter Sunday service. Prince Andrew also joined them. It's the first time the Duke of York's been seen at a royal family event for a year. His ex-wife, the Duchess of York, the Princess Royal and Prince Edward were among the congregation. The Prince and Princess of Wales, though, spent the weekend on holiday in Norfolk. Meanwhile, the traditional Easter message normally delivered by the Archbishop of Canterbury was given instead by the Archbishop of York, following Justin Welby's resignation. The sermon at York Minster called for peace in a troubled world. The Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, has accused Nigel Farage of peddling nonsense and lies by blaming the government's net zero commitments for causing the crisis in the UK steel industry. And our political correspondent Shihab Khan is in Westminster this evening. Shihab, this is becoming something of a dividing line there.
Yeah, absolutely. It appears that across Westminster there are different views on how to tackle net zero in particular. The government's target is to get to net zero carbon emissions by 2050. That was enshrined into law by the previous Conservative government, but the current leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, has cast doubt over whether she will continue to support that, while Nigel Farage, the leader of Reform UK, has been very critical. He's spoken about net zero lunacy. He suggested that British Steel may have got into a bit of trouble because of the government's net zero policies, that they may have struggled to get coal to keep the blast furnaces in Scunthorpe up and running. Today, the Environment Secretary, I should say, Ed Miliband, has hit back. He's been writing in the Observer newspaper, talking about his critics, in particular, it appears, Nigel Farage. He says they will also make up any old nonsense and lies to pursue their ideological agenda. Their latest example being their attempt to use this crisis facing the steel industry for their deeply damaging agenda. He then goes on and he says, so if our political opponents want to fight about clean energy, bring it on. We will take the fight to them. His position at the moment appears to be that deviating from net zero would have huge issues when it comes to both climate change, but also clean energy growth. That is somewhere the government thinks there is a huge amount of potential.
Right, Shihab, thank you. Dozens of campaigners have joined a protest walk to the site where an apparently healthy 500-year-old oak tree was chopped down earlier this month. The owners of a nearby Toby carvery had argued it posed a potential health and safety risk. But following local and national outcry, they apologised for the upset. But as Anna Geary reports, the anger remains.
Feeling emotional, they marched through a park in North London, making their way to what's left of an oak tree, one with a 500-year history. It was chopped down earlier this month, sparking outrage.
So devastated by the tree, and in a climate crisis, this beautiful habitat is so diverse.
Devastation that will cause for nature, a huge loss for the community as well.
The ancient tree was taken down by the owners of a nearby Toby carvery.
The company believed it had a legal right to fell the tree, which was not covered by a tree protection order. They claimed they did it on health and safety grounds,
having received advice that the tree was dead.
We have an international responsibility to preserve these trees.
When I saw this tree, it was healthy, it was structurally sound, there were no issues with it. A colleague saw it in February, said the same thing. A previous survey described it as a fine specimen.
The loss of the tree comes as locals fear the impact on wildlife after Tottenham Hotspur Football Club revealed plans for expansion on neighbouring land. It's also not long after the iconic Sycamore Gap was felled at Hadrian's Wall in Northumberland. Tonight, campaigners are calling for better protections for Britain's ancient trees so that some justice comes out of this old oak's demise. Anna Geary, ITV News.
Football and Leicester City have been relegated from the Premier League after losing 1-0 to Liverpool. But the Reds will have to wait at least another week before they can be crowned league champions after Arsenal beat Ipswich. Chris Scudder rounds up the action.
Leicester are going down to Liverpool.
Finally, how about this as a way to spend your 70th birthday? NASA's oldest astronaut, Don Petit, touched down in Kazakhstan early this morning, along with 2 Russians, after spending 7 months in space. During that time, he orbited Earth more than 3,500 times. Happy birthday to him, and that's all for now. We'll be back with the late news at 11. Until then, goodbye.